that does not make a person unattractive as far as I'm concerned. It's Timothée Chalamet, who does nothing for me in that way, but just objectively, please. I'm Wesley Morris, and this is Cannonball Today. We like some Marty. Hey, hey, hey. Marty Supreme, it's a hit.
Backhand, forehand.
It's a hit at the box office, and the critics like it, and so do the people who give out the Oscars, because when the Oscar nominations came out last week, the folks at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences just gave it a lot of the big ones, including Best Picture, Best Director, that's for Josh Safdie, and Best Actor for Timothée Chalamet, aka Marty Supreme. I'm all for this. The movie and Marty, they, vaulted right over my expectations for what I want from a movie. I just had a really good time with this thing. And it's basically about this ambitious Jewish kid.
And what do you plan to do if this whole dream of yours doesn't work out?
That doesn't even enter my consciousness.
/ ping pong champ on the Lower East Side of Manhattan in 1952, just a few years after the Holocaust. But over the past few weeks, it's become pretty clear that a lot of people watching this movie really do not like this movie. They hate it. Just look at the comments on Manohla Dargis's review for the New York Times. The comments are intense. And so much of what people hate is Marty himself. That's who you think of me?
Yes.
My friend, Sasha Weiss, has a lot of thoughts about what is going on here. And so she's basically gonna come and host with me this week to try to, work it out. Sasha, welcome back to Cannonball. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me. So people are just having really, really strong reactions to this movie. And actually, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised because the person I saw it with, dear friend, in the middle of the movie.
I know who that person is, by the way.
You know who it is.
I'm kind of not surprised.
Well, I was totally taken and absorbed, and she started to get physically ill because
which would concern me.
The violence of the movie, some of the chaos of the movie, the sheer velocity of the movie, and she almost walked out. She was having that physical of a response. So she
sounds like some of the people in the comments on Manohla Dargis's review.
I was going to say, the commenters were really divided, and I actually rounded up a few of my favorites,
okay.
And I thought we should read some of them just to get a sense of just the violence of the response to this thing.
I'm fascinated by this. Go. You can read one.
I'll read an unhappy customer. Katie M. from North Carolina says, I just walked out of this movie. My God. This reviewer owes me $22 plus fines for an egregiously pretentious review.
Oh, not fining Manohla Dargis. What are we doing?
If you're even on the fence about it, don't do it. There are no redeeming qualities to this movie. Think of the most obnoxious person you know behaving at their very worst for 2.5 straight hours, and you're trapped in a room with them and can't leave. That is this movie. Except I could leave. Hallelujah. You want to look at these?
Yeah. This is Julian B. from Massachusetts. What if I would never say Wesley M. from Pennsylvania. That is an interesting choice. I'd like people to know
school.
I'm from Pottstown. I'm from Worcester. Anyway, Julian B. from Massachusetts. As someone who enjoys films with some grit in them and thinks Timothée Chalamet is an incredible actor, I still walked out partway through. A lot of exiting. After an hour and a half of this over-the-top mishmash of violence, not redeemed by its thoroughly unlikable main character and absurdly blood-splattered digressions, all I wanted to do was go home and take a shower to wash off the unpleasantness. Julian B., I hope you got your shower. I get it. I understand. I understand why people might be leaving this movie. I am not a tremendous lover of the person who made it, Josh Safdie. And, he's part of this duo of filmmakers, he and his brother, Benny. Uncut Gems, famously, is a Josh and Benny Safdie movie. They're New Yorkers. They make movies about New York City. The films are gritty. They're scuzzy. And in addition to that, the people at the center of these movies aren't people who, at least in this century, tend to get centered, right?
Well, let's pause there a little bit
Okay.
and get into Marty as a character.
Not yet.
Do you have a job?
No. Backhand. Backhand. Forehand.
Because I do think that a big part of what people are responding to is what some people consider a deeply unlikable character, a character who is selfish, striving, out for himself. I mean, I think he has many other dimensions. But maybe let's just start by describing the main character of this film, Marty Mauser. Paint a picture.
I mean, he's one of those rat-a-tat talkers. Like, he never shuts up.
You know, I'm something of a performer, too.
Are you?
Yeah, you don't believe me? You what? You what?
And the thing about Timothée Chalamet's performance is that I think he's doing so much talking that his mouth stays open for most of the movie.
It's true. He has this kind of like open-mouthed stare. And it's a bit unattractive. I mean, he's so appealing, but actually he manages to be a little bit unappealing physically in this movie too. But
I mean,
go on about
a little bit. I mean, they've given him a unibrow and a little bit of acne,
yes,
right? Like,
yes.
That does not make a person unattractive as far as I'm concerned. And it's Timothée Chalamet, who does nothing for me in that way. But like, I mean, just objectively, please. Anyway, I think what people are having a hard time with respect to Marty Mauser as a character is he apologizes for nothing. He doesn't have a lot of remorse, regret, chagrin. He is unabashed. He is shameless. And if he wants something, he is going to try to obtain it, whether it's money that he thinks he's owed by his boss at this shoe store, which is his first crime, at least the first one we see him commit, or making some movie star fall in love with him.
Well, I think maybe it's also worth saying that Marty Mauser is a Jewish man who is, you know, in some ways a striver, an immigrant striver, very familiar to us. He's a Lower East Side guy. He is, you know, wanting success. He is willing to kind of play dirty. He's willing to use every tool at his disposal. He's resourceful. He's canny. He's a kind of like New York type, right?
Yes. I mean, I'm just thinking about the ways in which his very specific Jewishness is interacting with his like classic American self-madeness, right?
Yes.
But in either scenario, what we're watching is a person at the bottom claw his way to the top.
Or attempt to claw his way to the top. But he figures this. I do think it's important to say that the movie does leave a breadcrumb trail about its Jewishness and Marty's Jewish aspiration. And it's important to say that Marty figures his own ascent and his will to triumph as a Jewish thing. You know, he says at one point...
He understands himself
to be a Jewish striver. And at one point he says he's being interviewed by a British journalist at a London
one of the
ping pong tournament.
tournaments.
And he says, I'm Hitler's worst nightmare because I'm on top. I'm here and I'm on top. So he figures his, and you know, much to the disgust and kind of like horror of this British guy who's just a few years post-Holocaust, who's like, can people say this? And Marty says, I can say things like this. I'm Jewish. So his sort of outrageousness and his sense of his own ascent, he is figuring as Jewish.
Yes. And I also think this is a person who is deeply familiar to all people here in this country because these are the types of people who made America, right?
Well, so maybe you're saying like a resistance to Marty is a resistance to sort of like being back close to the ground again, being back close to that kind of fast-talking, hustling, trying to play every angle. You know, this guy is just shameless. He'll do whatever he wants. At the same time, for me, this is part of what I love about him. Like his self-belief, his silver-tongued quality, his improvisatory quality, like his charm that he can kind of turn on or off at will, you know, that he can kind of like in one setting. I guess it's that like whether he's moving in a kind of like shoe store on the Lower East Side or a two-bit motel or in this kind of buttoned-up world of table tennis, he is always himself. Even though he's lying all the time, there's a kind of purity to him. And I love watching Marty sell. You know, he says at one point, I could sell shoes to an amputee, and he can. And I actually feel like we should watch a moment from the movie where he's selling his friend's dad on one of his schemes, which is actually kind of a brilliant scheme. And you can kind of see the charm of Marty Mauser.
Try to follow the white ball against the white.
So he's trying to convince his friend's dad to pay for the production of orange ping pong balls.
If I'm wearing a white shirt and I'm wearing this, you can't see the ball.
Because ping pong balls are usually white, but wouldn't it be
I'm
more
wearing
beautiful?
a white T-shirt.
Who can see
me?
them?
Like, it's just not, it's like they've got it's not fair.
Now imagine it with an orange ball, which no one's ever thought of. See, you're already following it way better. Look at his eyes. See how his eyes are looking? Yeah, you're looking more engaged now. So that's what we want to do. Right now, in the world of table tennis, you're obliged to wear black just so you can follow the white ball. Look at this. That's Ted Bailey.
Who's that?
That's the #1 ranked player in the world right now. He's the British champion. I've already beat him, by the way. Now look at this. That's Jack Kramer, #1 tennis player. What's the difference there?
All white.
He's in all white. It's beautiful. To me, that's luxury. To me, that's class. You could sell
Marty,
that.
a custom ball like that is going to cost a lot of money.
Of course it's custom. It's original ball for an original guy.
I love the pleasure of watching Marty sell, and I'm with him all the way, even though I know he's completely full of shit.
Yeah, of course. This guy is like
He's
working.
playing every
He's working
angle,
everybody and every angle.
at every moment.
And it turns out to have like incredibly grim consequences as the movie goes on. And
People losing limbs, fires starting, violence of all kinds, shootouts. I mean, the kind of violence and chaos follow this man in his wake. And it's not, he's sort of
almost
proximate
ruins a
to it.
marriage.
And he's like, it's the domino effect. But he's not participating in violence. It just happens around him in some way.
he is somehow, I don't know if it's right to say he's the like head domino, but whatever is happening, he is like a tile ahead of the like.
And somehow he moves through all of that with this preternatural grace.
Right.
And egotism, but grace, and like without consequences. And I wonder, as you said, like, is that part of what bothers people?
I don't know. I mean, I think that this is New York to me. And like, maybe New York's just not your city.
Well, can I ask a controversial question that feels kind of related? Like, I wonder if some of the discomfort that people feel here also has to do with his Jewishness. And like,
I think this is what's underneath some of the like.
I mean, and it's adjacent to this question of like, maybe it's not your city, right? Like I feel like on the one hand, maybe a discomfort with like a guy who embodies like some of the ugliest stereotypes about Jews. And like not knowing what to do with that.
None of the comments specify that, but
well, actually, some people think the movie is like about anti-Semitism, which I think we should talk more about. But it's like, you know, it's like,
well, it's definitely about anti-Semitism. There are anti-Semites in the movie.
Yes, and we'll talk about that. But like, you know, is it kind of like the not knowing what to do with someone who embodies these stereotypes, also not liking that he's so good at the hustle, and sort of not liking yourself for not liking that? I mean, I just wonder if that is sort of bound up with this. And I also think that's something that the movie is really aware of.
Yes.
You know, its own Jewishness and this feeling that he embodies like some of the ugly stereotypes about Jewish people, and like he's enacting them and embodying them.
The money grubbing,
the scheming, you know, the wanting to take over the world, the egotism. I mean, the sort of like sexual rapaciousness, all of these, you know, very ugly, enduring stereotypes. And he's being them, you know, and kind of not knowing how to respond to that, and kind of not knowing if we're supposed to be rooting for him or rooting against him, you know, and I think like the other sort of confusing aspect is like there's a touching aspect of Marty, or at least the world that he's situated in, right? Like for me, it's so redolent of like the world that my family came from, you know, a Lower East Side of immigrant Jews trying to find their place in American life. You know, this is in 1952. It is 7 years after the Holocaust, which is invoked many times in the movie and in some really moving ways, right? Like this is a person who's striving, has a kind of existential purpose, you know, and even as he's like a small-time hustler, in some way he positions himself as like an existential hustler. And like for a Jewish person like me, I find it extremely moving at moments, you know, and I think like maybe some people don't know what to do with the mix of all that stuff.
Maybe. And I also think that there might be a part of some people's reaction that is just unfamiliar with this kind of effrontery, not hiding its Jewishness, right? Like where the thing giving this guy the license to act this way
is his Jewishness.
Is his Jewishness, right?
There is a scene in this movie that I really want to talk about with you because to me, it unlocked the movie and it speaks so directly to this character's really complex relationship with his own Jewishness and the movie's even more complicated relationship with his Jewishness.
Oh, yeah, okay.
This particular scene, which takes place about 30 minutes into the movie, so it's early in the movie, kind of unlocked the whole thing. And what this scene is doing, for me, reorients the whole movie and tells us how to read Marty.
Okay, so I know the scene. And essentially, if memory is serving me, Marty's gotten himself into the Ritz. He's having dinner with his partner in ping pong championship glory. His name's Bela Kletsky, and he's played by Geza Rohrig. I'll come back to the importance of the actor in a minute. But they're having dinner, and, you know, Marty's having one of his Marty moments, and he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy dinner for Kay Stone, this actress I want to have sex with. I'm going to buy dinner for her whole table, including her husband who's sitting there. And her husband's a rich man. The husband becomes aware that some things have been paid for, comes over to Marty's table and is like, excuse me?
Excuse me, do I know you?
I don't think so.
And you want to buy dinner for my entire table tonight?
Yeah, is that okay?
Why?
What do you mean, why? Do I need a reason?
And Marty's like, oh, I just want to thank you.
It's my small way of saying thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank me for what specifically?
For all your products.
Marty's like, for your pens.
I mean, where would we be without pens?
Where would we be without pens? So Marty is like, he's running a little bit of a con, right? Like he wants to get into bed with this guy's beautiful shiksa wife.
Played by Gwyneth Paltrow.
Played by Gwyneth Paltrow. He's messing with this guy. And Marty kind of ropes him, sort of seduces him into staying by kind of talking with him. They're both from New York. You know, this guy sort of warily amused by Marty.
What do you do?
I'm a professional athlete.
Really? What sport?
Table tennis.
Table tennis. That's a sport?
Yeah, of course it is. I'm here competing in the British Open. In fact, I'm playing at Wembley tomorrow in front of a sold-out crowd in the final against Japan. I'm here representing the United States.
Japan?
This is Kevin O'Leary, by the way, of Shark Tank.
Shark Tank, perfectly cast. And the Kevin O'Leary character notices that Bella has a number on his arm.
And it's not just noticing, it's like, oh, hey, I see you've got a number on your arm. Like it's...
Well, it's a little bit aggressive.
Right. Like it's some other, like it's any old tattoo. I know what that's all about. I know what this Holocaust business is all about. And a tense moment ensues, or a very a curious moment, where this character of Bella kind of, in a pretty dignified way, says, well, yeah, I mean, I was in the camps. And then the Kevin O'Leary character says, you know, with great animus, my son died liberating you. It's cocky though, right?
Well, he says it casually.
It's very jocular the way he says it. His whole approach to this entire scene is a little bit like, it's a little, some umbrage, but also some like one-upsmanship.
Yeah, and Kevin O'Leary's character, he's an avatar of the WASP world, right? Like this is someone who's completely at home at the Ritz. And Marty then kind of sees an opportunity here. I mean, Marty at one is kind of protecting his friends and saying, actually, the Soviets, you know, liberated his camp. He's sort of has eyes on Kay, who's across the room, and he says, you know, sort of as a means of distraction, why don't you tell him the story, Bella, from your time in the war? And then this character of Bella proceeds to tell a story about his time at Auschwitz, where he was recognized by a guard because of his ping pong prowess. He was a famous table tennis player. And this guard recognizes his talent and kind of saves him by sending him off to a corner in the woods of the camp where he's alone. I mean, it's sort of like a classic story of a stroke of luck in the camps, right? Mm-hmm. And suddenly we flash back, as he starts to tell this story, to a scene from the Holocaust of a person in, the pinstripe pajamas, prison uniform, and he tells that he was in the woods. He was taught to defuse bombs, or he was working alone in the woods. And one day he follows a honeybee to a hive, and he recognizes that he can smoke out the bees, take the honey, and he smears it all over his body. And you can hear the Kevin O'Leary character saying, "Why?" And the Bella says,
in a voiceover, so that I could go back to my bunk and nourish all my bunkmates. And you see this harrowing, extremely moving image of him taking off his uniform, this sticky body being licked by 10 men. Like many men, yes.
And for me, I mean, I wept. It was immediately, sort of plunged me into the harrowing reality of what people endured, in this horrible event of human history. But at the same time, the movie, I mean, it works in so many complex ways. The movie is playing it for its profundity, but it's also all a ploy for Marty to distract this guy so that he can flirt with his wife. And it's using the Holocaust in the story,
as a red herring.
As a red herring.
Yeah.
And also as a kind of one-upmanship, right? Like it's sort of like, well, I'm going to tell you my story of victimhood. It's a great story,
right.
I don't know. So for me, it's played for its profundity, and it's also blasphemously played for laughs.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening in this sequence. First of all, the actor playing Kletsky, Geza Rohrig, was in this very trying Holocaust movie called Son of Saul. Came out in 2015, and the entire movie is sort of shot from the point of view of Geza Rohrig's character. So it's extremely claustrophobic. You spend the entire running time of this movie trapped with these people in Auschwitz. And his character is another exceptional Jew who has been given the terrible, terrible, unthinkable job of leading his fellow prisoners to the gas chamber and then cleaning up after its use. And so casting that guy to play this guy, to tell this story, is another layer of, kind of referential complexity. But then there is this other thing that I always struggle with movies about the Holocaust, which is that every new film that is attempting to tell this story, the challenge is, how can I
put my mark on the Holocaust?
Right. How can I do a better job than the other guys who came before me? How can I top Steven Spielberg? How can I top Roman Polanski? What is the new...
How can I out-terrible the terrible? And put my mark on it aesthetically and make it fill it with emotion.
So there's a kind of inherent moral reprehensibility to me.
To representing it at all.
To doing it at all. Because it becomes aesthetic sportsmanship and not... The sort of moral consequences are secondary to the attempt to outmaneuver what has come before it. Zone of Interest is another one of these movies that,
which you can't help but admire, but that's part of it.
Right.
And I mean, it's kind of brilliant because there is the meta. I mean, there's so many levels to what he's doing here, but I think what you're suggesting is that Josh Safdie knows this, and he's also... it's a very short sequence where we see this imagery. And it is extremely harrowing and moving and also, I think a bit erotic, which is something we can get to too, right? But he's sort of doing the required historical reverence, and at the same time, he's blaspheming it all at once.
All at once. I watched that entire sequence with my jaw dropped because, think about the flex of turning a thing that many directors build their whole careers trying to depict, right? Like the pinnacle of several filmmakers' filmmaking lives, at least for a minute, is trying to figure out how to tell a story of the Holocaust. This guy's like, yeah, I'll give it to you in 10 seconds. I'll do it in 10 seconds. And that itself is a kind of reprehensible, the flex, yeah, I did it. I showed it to you. But also then to say, I don't want this character and these people to be trapped in the pity associated with that event. I want this character to live and be judged. I want you to walk away from him, hate him, because he's this individual guy who sucks.
Exactly.
Not like hold your sucking because he comes from these people, right? That is a 21st century choice. That is a 2025 to me choice, right?
And to me, like a deeply Semitophilic choice, right? Because
say more about that.
Because Marty gets to be like whatever he is. He's not confined by Jewishness, right? Like he's deeply Jewish, and we can read him that way, and he's asking us to read him that way. He's telling us that he reads himself that way, but he doesn't have to be representative. He can just be himself.
Right.
And there's no other Marty Supreme.
Right.
But for me, I mean, I'm trying to think, like, as we're dissecting the utter blasphemousness of this, like, I'm trying to figure out why I was also so moved by it and why I also feel like it is the skeleton key to this movie. Because I think, like, there still is something irreducibly and undeniably true about the humanity of the story, right? That Bella tells, and the act that he performed, and being asked to kind of see and recognize that, and this is also the reason why you do make movies about these horrible human events, because to face them and to kind of understand the extremity of them, and that this too is part of humanity and part of our history, like all of that you're confronted with in this moment, in addition to all of Marty's, like, horrendous venality and ability to do, like, pull any kind of bullshit, and like, I love it that the two things can function together. And I also think that, like, this scene does clue us in to some kind of, like, elemental insistence on life and survival that is also Marty's. I mean, it's a very different circumstance, right? But this is the spirit that flows into Marty's veins through his peoplehood. And so you sort of understand his striving. Like, it's all painted with this scene for me. And it's just moving, right? So in addition to being kind of disgusted by Marty, I'm also deeply moved by his incredible life force and vitality. And for me, it kind of, like, casts the rest of the movie with that kind of intensity and vitality.
I mean, I feel like what you're talking about, I mean, there's only really one word for it. This movie is, and it's a very, like, I feel very Jewish-oriented word, shameless, right? The movie has no shame. And I don't know, it's like that shamelessness, corresponds to, like, a whole, constellation of
shamelessnesses.
Yeah. All right, I have an idea. I would love to think through, as inspired by this movie, like, what shamelessness
entails.
Is. Like, what is it? What is
this essential quality of shamelessness?
Yeah.
What does it do in the world?
We came up with a name for what we're about to do. It's called the Shame Game. Or
I thought it was called the Hall of Shame.
The Hall of Shame. That's how little shame we have. It's got two names. So, I guess how it's going to work is you're going to just, like, give me somebody who is an epitome of shamelessness, and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
And I'll give you one, and then you'll give me one, and then I'll give you one back.
Okay, and we can decide, like, what shamelessness is, because I think it's a complicated thing. Okay, first one, I think it's pretty classic. Another Jewish character, Mickey Sabbath, from the novel Sabbath Theater by Philip Roth. One of my all-time favorite characters.
It's the best Philip Roth novel.
It's the best Philip Roth novel. So this character is despicable. Mickey Sabbath is a puppeteer in his 60s who has recently been fired from his small-town university job because of an affair he had with a student. He is a womanizer. He is a complete narcissist. He is kind of cruel to his vulnerable alcoholic wife. He is randy. He is self-regarding.
Randy.
He is randy as hell.
I mean, horny.
Kind of just a despicable man.
Yes.
And yet, kind of like Marty, there is an undertow of something more profound. There is grief. He is grieving his lover. And actually, the love relationship in that book between Mickey Sabbath and Dranka, his partner, an age-appropriate partner, is one of the great love stories. And the sex that they have is actually transcendent.
In this book.
It's transcendent. And the book is like, incredible. And while on the one hand, he is, like, embodies all the worst attitudes towards sex and the most disgusting, instrumental attitudes towards sex, he also really helps us to understand what sex can be. So this is a character who contains multitudes. He is a shameless man who somehow is the vehicle for really beautiful thinking about love, about sex, about spirituality, about grief.
Sasha.
Hall of Shame. I nominate Mickey Sabbath.
Well, he's in. I don't know. He's at the front door when you enter when you come in.
He's in. Tell me who you've been thinking about.
Grace Jones in Boomerang.
Okay.
Plays a character.
I haven't seen it.
Named Strong J. Now, first of all, I should say Boomerang is a movie full of shameless people.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Lawrence.
If the coochie's good, everything else falls into place.
Eddie Murphy himself.
It's more than sex with this girl. I dig her, her spirit and her mind and everything. She's bad.
So why does she take the cake?
Because, first of all, it's Grace Jones. But also because in the world of this movie, which is really about a kind of black decorum and a black propriety, she is really telling the black respectability politicians among us and in the world of this movie to go jump in a lake. I'm here and y'all gonna have to deal with this because I love my vulgar self. And if you don't like it, the problem is you and your uptight bougie etiquette. You can't stop her from going too far.
Yes.
She overtakes every single scene she has in Boomerang, and I think it's 3 scenes. But every time she comes into the room, just notice who you don't see reacting to her because they are on the other side of that camera cracking up.
No man can turn down this pussy.
You stop.
I don't know any man that can refuse this pussy.
Stop showing pussy. People are eating in here.
This woman does not care. But in her not caring, she clearly cares about having no shame. What do you got?
Okay. My next person... I totally stand by it. But
someone
who
spit it out.
Someone who rose to my consciousness from cultural archives circa 2002, 2003, an era where the kind of stunt that this person pulls felt fresh.
Oh, I think I'm
thinking about Ali G.
Booyakasha.
I was going to say Sasha Baron Cohen.
I'm thinking about Sasha Baron Cohen, but I'm thinking particularly
about the character of Ali G.
Okay. Inviting straight-laced politicians onto his show. And the, commitment to the bit.
Wagwan, Evertonary. I is here with my main man. His name be Newt Gingrich.
In some cases, pretty destructive forces in American life who are responsible for
who are
wars,
also shameless, though,
who are
right?
themselves shameless. Well, this is the point, that his shamelessness was a kind of dye in the veins of their shamelessness.
And, that's a great way to put it.
And how people responded, people like Pat Buchanan or James Baker, the way that they respond to him also reveals something about themselves.
Listen up. Me name be Buchanan. Me knows enough things about politics. Get involved, mock daddies. Y'all better realize that nothing be a better way to get y'all kicks. West Side, IE.
So there's something about Ali G's shamelessness that can, have the consequence of shaming someone else or sort of allowing them to, reveal, it's almost like the more power you have, and the more power you feel yourself to have, the more willing you might be to play along with this buffoon.
If you becomes president again, what will you do?
I would change the whole country dramatically, and that's why I'm not going to be president.
Yo, for real. I was feeling that, man. Yo, was you mashed or something? You was so giggly.
Well,
You had a little puff before?
No, yeah, a little puff before, sure.
Respect. Yo.
You described it perfectly with the dye. Okay.
So he's in?
Oh.
I forgot to say Grace Jones is in too.
Well, clearly. These aren't being nominated. I'm bringing 2 people and installing them in the Hall of Shame.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to give you some titles to some things and you're going to be like, what? But I'm just like, hold on. Planet Claire. Rock Lobster. Dance This Mess Around. Butterbean. Love Shack. The B-52s have no shame. The reason that I'm going with these people is that they don't sound like anybody else in the history of music. And part of what you are hearing in their uniqueness is a very particular kind of shamelessness, which is to sound like a thing without having to declare what the thing is, right? This is the band that just sounds gay to me, right? And they know it. Fred Schneider is just like, yeah, hello.
It leads you straight right through the gate that opens on the
people, clearly. And yet, he's never sung a song about a man on a B-52s record. What he's doing is expressing that gay energy through the most absurd possible channels. And he's accompanied, vocally by these two women who have every vocal trick in the book to match his shamelessness.
There goes a man of rags. It's walking turbo.
And these women on Rock Lobster are doing every fish in the ocean.
There goes a horny crab.
And it's... I love Patti LaBelle, but you know what she has never done?
Any fish in the ocean.
A narwhal.
There comes a narwhal. There comes a bikini.
So some of what we're talking about with shamelessness is like breaking rules, but in order to break the rules, you have to know what the rules are.
Oh, yeah. You have to absorb them and then like be really willing to discard them.
This band... I just think the B-52s are a great example of this because there's a version of this band that sucks, right? The thing that makes them great is that they have applied their shamelessness to their mastery of the form,
yes,
right? And the thing that allows them to have no shame is that they also have dignity.
Yes, which I think brings us so beautifully back to Marty Supreme.
Yeah.
Despite the shamelessness, or because of or as part of the shamelessness, there is this kind of inherent dignity. Shamelessness it's very aware of the conventions that it is pouring itself all over.
Yes.
That it's gasolining.
Yes.
And some of the absurdity and sometimes outright villainy of those conventions.
Yes, it knows the history. The thing about Marty is like he knows the history he is both reacting against and trying to advance forward, right? That is sort of the power of the character in a lot of ways. He knows what he's doing and he can't help himself but to be barreling forward at all times while dragging this history with him and insisting that it come.
Beautifully put.
Sasha, thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
This was really fun, and I'll talk to you soon.
I want to keep populating this gallery of shamelessness. We're going to keep thinking about this.
It can happen. It can happen monthly because we're living in shameless times. Shamelessness with dignity is worth celebrating.
Shamelessness with dignity.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our show. Hall of shame, hall of shame, hall of shame.